Hey everybody, this is James Pelton. Very happy to be here with you today. Excited about this one. Not that I'm not excited for all my videos, but it's a special treat to have BT here today to talk about Elephant and just what's gone on since the last time that he was here and what's on the horizon for Elephant. Again, Trunk is a big holding of mine, so excited to kind of talk through that. You might notice I'm not in my office. I'm actually at a pastor's conference in Minneapolis. So if anybody's in Minneapolis, maybe hit me up. Maybe we can grab lunch or something like that. But yeah, not my normal setup, but we'll make it work. So BT, thank you so much for joining me here today. Really appreciate it. I think we can skip introductions. It's good to see your face, though. I know you've shown it elsewhere, but I think first time here on my channel. So good to see you. Do you want to start out by just a quick introduction of who you are? Again, quick, and then we'll kind of jump into what's new with Elephant and what's in store for the future.
Okay, how's it going, James? Great to be here again. My audio is coming in okay, right?
Yes, you
Sounds good.
sound great, loud and clear.
Okay,
I think better than I do. So yeah, you're
all right,
perfect.
right. And I just have these cheap $8 headphones,
I know. See,
but
mics are a rug pull. They're a waste of money.
right. Yeah, like I said, it's similar to Batman. I like to do most of my work behind the cowl, but given all the drama of late in the space, I figured I'd just give some reassurance by saying, yes, I'm here. I'm a real person. I'm not like halfway around the world, or at least I in a very well-known place in New England. Yeah, I'm BT. Been doing fintech for pretty much my whole career, and you can see by the gray in my beard that's been a while. MIT grad, computer science, artificial intelligence, and graphics concentration, actually. And that's kind of interesting, right? Given everything that's going on right now. And that kind of brings us back to the point that could sort of see how all this was coming and, how impressive AI would get. I remember when AMD was started doing their work on their optimized chips for artificial intelligence, and I was like, oh well, this is going to be checkmate. And sure enough, here we are.
Yeah,
And
it's taking over everything.
it's taken over everything. Like I'm seeing like these amazing like Elephant.Money AI art things in the chat. It's great. But that's the reason why we're doing all this. The mantra's been cash flow for all for over 5 years across 3 blockchains: Ethereum, Tron, and now BSC. BSC is going to look like it's going to be our final resting place. Working with CZ, and you know, we picked BSC because CZ is a great operator. I have sort of a background at State Street and Fidelity, so I know what it takes to run fintech operations and institutional finance operations. And I think probably dealing with the exploit in April and recovering from that is example of what it takes to really right the ship. Even if something goes wrong, you have to be able to keep all the trains moving. And I think that's happened. Stampede never stopped paying out yield. We've delivered new products in this past 9 months. We've delivered farms, the Farmers Depot, which allows you to, which is an OTC desk for Trunk. And now we have the futures product, which is probably what we'll focus on. And the futures product has pretty much opened up that front office again. So basically, we've been crippled for this whole time. And while we're bringing out new functionality, which is not going to go away, it's all providing benefit, right? But we really needed that premier experience for yield on the front end to really drive the whole system. And I think futures provides that. It really fundamentally changes the way what I call the flow contract, the way that works. It fundamentally changes that for the better and looks more like a real business when you can make some certain considerations.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'm excited to talk through all this stuff. So again, I think we have to. Most people here, I think, are wanting updates. But just in case there's a few people here that don't even know what elephant is, I have people that watch my channel. Can you give just imagine we're on an elevator going from the first to, let's say, the ninth floor, and somebody says,
Yep.
"Hey, what is elephant money?" What would you say is kind of what you're trying to build with elephant money?
Okay. So Elephant Money is an on-chain global community bank. And that's really the easiest way to describe it. And it runs on the Binance, the BNB chain. Um, it's not cross chain, and a lot of the reasons for that is because there's some fundamental ways that you operate a business that I think a lot of protocols don't take into consideration. So one is like you want to concentrate working capital, and so you can't do that if you distribute it across a bunch of liquidity pools across different chains. So, and core to the way that Elephant Money works is there's yield on the front end, and that's usually through a stable coin. And we have our trunk stable coin, which is currently depegged because of an exploit. Uh, that'll be fixed shortly now that we have our front office open again. So now we have a futures contract, which works very similar to provide yield. It has a couple of new innovations, but at the end of the day, you get 0.5% daily on your cash. And it works very much like a savings account, which is a departure from the way that the traditional flow drip style contracts used to work. And it was just a basic innovation, like, or sorry, basic observation. Like when you go to the bank and you deposit money, um, do you expect to start like withdrawing immediately? Like you have to let the interest build up, right? So, and the only problem with a normal savings account is that the interest rate sucks. But the way it fundamentally works makes sense. You gotta have to have skin in the game. That interest doesn't come from nowhere, right? It has to have time to for the capital to actually work. Um, in most cases, banks leave those deposits there. Um, they used to have fractional banking. It's hit or miss depending on what kind of organization you're depositing in, whether it be like a credit union or just a FDIC insured bank or something like that. But like, bottom line is, you have to have time for yield to accrue, and then it gets compounded on a schedule. And so what we did is, because Elephant is a co-op, we basically said, hey, we're providing the best yield in the world, but to compound it, maybe you should make a deposit, maybe you should reinvest into the business. And that was the fundamental aha moment with futures. It's sort of like, we've been building these things where, oh, a person can deposit $1 and compound to $1 million. So, which doesn't make any sense in the world. Amazon, has to keep the lights on. They have to pay employees. They have to oil the trucks or and fuel them. Um, a lot of operational overhead that all costs money. That's all reinvestment back into the business. So if we're talking about this co-op, this community bank being really one of the most accessible businesses, franchises, if you will, in the world, it should operate like one. So, and because of that, I think the magic is starting to spring out now.
Okay. Awesome. So yeah, I think most people, it looks like, want to know about the future. So let's talk. We'll talk about that. I do want to get updates too on how the farms are doing. A lot of people are asking about trunk peg and things like that. But let's. I know the main thing we're here for is the future. So let's start with that, and then we can get to the other stuff after that. So do you want to kind of walk through? I get the general idea, but you kind of want to walk through how exactly this works for someone. Like if they put in money, how does this work for someone? And I'll bring up the screen here too.
Okay, great. Yeah. So this is fine. And we're tapping on the door of a million in TVL. That's great. We've only been out for about a week and change. So that's great. And that $1 million in TVL has generated over 3 million in economic activity inside of the Treasury. So, and that's only going to get better as we keep going. So what? So basically, what futures is it's provides 0.5% a day daily on your cash. It requires a minimum $200 deposit, and that number was picked for a couple of reasons. But fundamentally, the entire futures program, I had a kind of a rough draft, and in the first rough draft, it was modeled very much in the same way as the depot. So we had some interesting innovations there with the depot. So, and this sort of concept of basically taking the interest that you have available, when you withdraw that, you pull that from your principal. So that was a interesting innovation, because then that requires you to actually manage how you're withdrawing from your account, and you can do this on your own, but you're managing that, as opposed to just like, I'm just going to compound, and I can just claim with like wild abandon. That kind of goes away. But fundamentally, you can expect to get 182% APR, right? If you're kind of inactive and don't do much, maybe you make a couple of deposits, you're going to get like 182%. That goes up to 400%, and sort of caps out at around 500% if you deposit daily. But most people, if you run the numbers, you can do 500% if you just deposit weekly, or you can deposit monthly, and it's around 400%. And these are very reliable yields, because we already understand that the back office and that whole pipeline to the BUSD Treasury and then to Bertha, that's been exercised for like over a year now, almost 2 years. And so that mechanism for walking up that constant product formula to generate the value accrual in the tokens, that works. The Treasury system works. And so and because of the way futures requires fresh deposits to compound, we know that the system is perpetually sustainable. And so it caps out at around it'll pay you up to 2.5 million in payouts. Regardless of where you start, what you did, how you got there, it will sort of the max account is 2.5 million in payouts. All interest counts as payouts, and the system allows you to get up to 1 million in your balance, and then that'll cap there. But then you can just withdraw, and then deposit a little, bring it back up, and whatever. And so basically that turns out about 5,000. So the system maxed out paying about 5,000 a day in interest if you max out your account. So some people can come in and say, "Hey, I'm just throw a million in there and just start claiming." So you literally can claim out 2.5 million. So it's basically 2.5x on your investment if you just threw in $1 million.
Okay. No, great. So just to make sure I understand how this works, so can you give us an example? Like if I want to put in $1,000 right now, this is all running, right? This is launched and going right now. So let's say I have 1,000 BUSD, and I want to put this in here. Can you kind of explain then how the compounding works, and if I claim, what does that do to my principal? And can you guys just explain, if I put in $1,000, how does that work?
So if you put in $1,000, that's $5. That would be $5 a day, right? So you're earning $5 interest a day, and basically what you'll want to do is you want to get on some schedule to fold that interest in, because if you don't deposit at all, what's going to happen is it's just going to subtract from your balance. So this is a fundamental difference versus like a standard like drip style account or flow style account. Like let's just say drip. In drip, whatever you deposit, you're earning interest on that round number, right? And you can keep claiming, and it'll be the same amount every time. But the issue is that no fresh capital is coming in, and new tokens are being minted as well. In this model, and like notice that there's no minting going on. We're using BUSD. So what happens is, like, by the way, 10% goes to a buffer pool. So if you click on that, so you see that we're on that right now. So 10% goes to the buffer pool right there. Did you see? So and that's used to pay out daily liabilities. So you see that we're way overfunded for daily liabilities, and that's like, I wouldn't call it insurance, but you can kind of think of it like as long as this buffer pool greatly outpaces daily liabilities, the Treasury doesn't even have to liquidate any tokens to pay those liabilities. So we have a very healthy system. And also you see the BUSD Treasury. That BUSD Treasury is used to pay directly to do buybacks directly into the Elephant Treasury. But the main thing from a user perspective, though, is that you see your interest growing, but if you don't put in a fresh deposit, it's not going to compound at all. And because of that, if you just claim, it's just going to subtract from your principal. So that's not the way to play it. And also, if you just deposit and just leave it and don't do anything, like say for 200 days, that's your ROI, right? Then it's basically a loan to the system, because you're just going to get your money back. So the idea is that you have to figure out what your budget is, right? But treat it like a savings account. So and basically we're getting back to the basics of finance or home finance. The basics of home finance is saving. So to get access to like the best interest in the world, you have to be a saver. And so what the contract fundamentally does is it turns every participant into a proper saver, as opposed to these other contracts where you make an investment and you're just getting interest with not having to worry about the principal or anything.
Okay, very good. Yeah, and I wanted to. This is a really helpful article. I'll post a link to this. Thank you, Crypto Stew. I don't know if you are here, but this article explains. It had some really good stuff that I was reading about the strategies. Yeah, like here's some graphs of some different strategies. So there'll be some game theory probably involved here too. Of hey, what's the strategy that best fits the goals that you're trying to do? So I think main question that people are probably going to have about something like this is, we've seen the drips of the world and the Furio and the Piston and all these things. And I think people are concerned, how is this going to be sustainable long term? In fact, that was one of the questions. At some point, won't futures grow too fast to sustain? And so you've been talking about it. You have to put in more. You can't just claim out. Do you want to just give any other thoughts and reasons why you think this will be more sustainable than some of the other ROI dApps that we've seen?
Yeah, I think fundamentally this is a little bit different than an ROI dApp. I wouldn't really call it an ROI dApp anymore. It's part of an economic engine that's been proven. So the fundamental thing you got to look at is, if we just go back to that screen, if we just go back to the yield screen there, and just take a look at the money that's come in so far versus the price action inside of the other one. Yeah, the yield one. Yep. So we've brought in $1 million, and basically the Elephant Treasury, even with BNB going up and down and stuff, has generated over $2 million, right? So we turned one into two. And then the daily liabilities are covered by the buffer pool. But guess what? People aren't going to be withdrawing from the buffer pool, because the the savings account hasn't had a chance to build up interest. So the best people can do is actually compound the interest that's been accruing, like say for a week. But if they just claim that interest, their principal would actually just go down, and they'd be hurting themselves. Just like if you put your money in a savings account, if you put your money in a savings account, went away for a week, regardless of the interest, regardless of whatever interest they were providing, unless they were paying like insane interest, a withdrawal of that interest is going to cause the principal to go down. And so what that does is that creates like very wide time horizons. In the old sort of flow style contracts, you had very tight time horizons because people could start claiming immediately. But here they have to, you kind of have to plan it out. So you can go anywhere from like, I'm going to treat this like a cash flow multiplier. So people could have their, like you could say, if you earn income from a job, you say, okay, I'm just going to take 25% of my income from a job and I'm just going to feed it through here. And that's going to hyper compound. So if you go back to Stu's example, that example where the blue line just goes up, up, and up, that's the example of the person who's just, every or daily or weekly, they're just throwing in new money. And that's where you get the highest compound effect. So that's like where you get that 5x from. And then all these other ones are like are combinations where you're getting a little bit less, but you can do very well. So like the simple example of if you just threw in $200 and then you put in a $200 every week. I like to use this example because it's really easy to understand. $200 weekly. That would, in 3 years, that would be around $33,000 investment. But you would have amassed a value of 1.3 million. So, and that's pretty much hard money because you have to think, what is Bertha doing when all she's seeing is all the buys from the front office, but she's not seeing any of the sells. So first, in terms of redemptions, they have to go through the BUSD buffer. But look, what's the BUSD buffer going to look like? The BUSD buffer could be in the millions of dollars. And what's the maximum that any one person can withdraw in a day? Well, it's actually capped at $50,000 because if you accrue, say you have $1 million account, or it doesn't matter, whatever size account you have, the system will allow you to accrue up to $50,000 that can be redeemed at one time. So you could claim that amount. But you see that like this is more tuned for, it's not a get rich quick scheme, but it's life changing. And depending on how people use it, it can become a multiplier of their cash flow very quickly, right? So depending on how you're using it.
Yeah. Nope, absolutely. Okay, so one question that's coming up from a few people, and by the way, audience, please hit the like button. I forgot to say that. I'm a terrible YouTuber. Please hit the like button. And then if you do have questions, bring them up, and we will try to get through as many questions as we can as we're talking through stuff. Again, and even critical questions. I'm totally okay with that. Just be respectful, but happy to talk through everything. So here's a good one. I think this will help clear some stuff up. If the price of the token goes down and you never claimed your principal, it doesn't matter if you did good or bad play, you'll still lose money, basically, is what they're saying. This is just BUSD in, BUSD out, correct? So there is no price of the token, correct?
There's no price of the token. That's the beauty of this, and that's why it's going to be very attractive to a large cohort of the crypto space. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep. So there's no way for the price of BUSD could go down, but then we've got a lot of other problems other than just Elephant. The Elephant futures is the last of our worries if BUSD goes down.
Yeah, BUSD is fully collateralized, so it can't go down. It will fluctuate, but it can't really go down because it's back 1-to-1 and FDIC insured.
Okay, gotcha. And then how could somebody, again, if they're not super familiar with the tokenomics of Elephant, how can they understand where the yield is coming from to pay people out more than they're putting in?
Right. So, and that is well, we all know that that's a really complicated, like the whole math lesson. I encourage people to probably go to the last AMA we did. We had EMH on, so Elephant Money heard he's actually a math teacher, and we showed how the constant product formula is affected and stuff like that. But the way you want to think about it is this: basically, 50% of the total supply, of the Elephant token is owned by the Elephant graveyard. So there's a hard floor on the Elephant price. Like that's number one. And what you also understand is that the liquidity is 100% owned by the protocol and it's locked. So what that means is every time you do a transaction on PancakeSwap or Uniswap, they take fees. Those fees are distributed to the liquidity providers. So those fees that happen just from buying and selling, those also get locked into the protocol. So we're constantly building liquidity every time there's a transaction. On top of that, we have something called the rebalance. So when the graveyard gets to 50, so it's a reflect token. So all transactions are, there's a 10% tax on it. That graveyard is seeing that income. Every time it gets to from 50% to 51%, it redistributes that 1% to liquidity and to the other holders. Now, there's a second holder that is the magic here. And that's what gets us up to like right now. So right now we're at around 60% protocol owned liquidity if you don't count the LPs. And we don't count the LPs because the goal is to get the elephant out of the LPs. As we're getting the elephant out of the LPs, the price goes up. And the less elephant that's in those LPs, the price goes up dramatically. And it's parabolic, and that's why like any token that does well on Uniswap goes parabolic because that's the nature of the constant product formula. So in our case, we have the treasury that's building up all that value, and where the yield comes from is and remember, so it's building up tokens. And the tokens are growing in value. So it's growing up and out, right? And so we call that treasury affectionately Bertha. But the way you want to think about it is, okay, great. When you put your dollar in a year ago, like especially for futures, like when you put your dollar in a year ago, that dollar had a time to grow in value. And what we're doing is we just scrape off the top. You scrape off the top of the treasury to pay out the yield, and we have to pay out less tokens. So it's literally buy low, sell high. And when you're selling high, you only have to use a fraction of the token that you bought a year ago to pay out the yield, and that's the way it works. And so, and to wrap it up, and that's why futures has a couple of numbers that are really important. Like, why is there $1 million cap? That's so that like at $1 million, you're still not going parabolic, even though you're earning like 0.5% a day. But at a cap of $1 million, which is the principal, that's not enough for it to go crazy, right? So the liabilities, even at 0.5%, are pretty much linear. But the deposits that we take on, we can use that to go parabolic in the constant product formula in the treasury. So we just shave off. So basically, and you can see this in the charts. If you look at the elephant chart, since we launched futures, you'll see that the price has already been going parabolic, right? So, and that's with 2 liquidity pools, because the first time we went parabolic in March of 2022, our BUSD pool was kind of thin, but now it's pretty much up. It's getting up there, and so it's like I think right now we have 26 million in the WBNB liquidity pool, and we have 18 million in the BUSD liquidity pool.
Okay.
But
Great.
yeah.
And actually, yeah, and I want to talk about Elephant because I'd like to kind of hear a couple of last questions about futures, and then let's move
Sure.
on to Elephant. Um, just to make sure we're understanding. Okay, here's one good question. So, what if after a year everyone tries to withdraw at the same time after compounding weekly? Is that going to cause problems for the protocols? Like, is a bank run a problem with the way the tokenomics are designed for this?
No, no. We have the buffer pools. Everyone has their own. Not everybody's depositing the same way. Like what you have to understand in systems engineering is that not everybody's doing the same thing. Not everybody has the same goals. Um, here's the beauty of this community. The larger we grow and the more inclusive we are, um, it's better for the system because we have people who are already rich in the protocol. Well, people who are already wealthy, their goal when using this protocol is just to stay wealthy. They're not trying, like after you cover the basic necessities, what's different, and I think it's a mindset thing. But this is why we're a community bank. Like the money's not going anywhere; it's already in the bank. Like right, so it's not like people are racing towards this goal to take the money out. Like, no, they're just actively putting the money in. This is better than they're not gonna like take the money out and then put it into a negative interest account that can be seized by their governments.
Yeah.
That's
Nope, makes sense. And then just to make sure we're understanding, so it's actually better to put in $200 a day rather than the full 1 million in one shot, as you wouldn't make any money on your money. So is that correct that it's better to put in increments like that rather than all at one time?
I think just in general, just as a best practice, it's probably better not to go all in. You want to keep like $1 million. I mean, $1 million might not be a lot of money, like to like some NFL player or baseball player, that's not a lot of money. So like they were like, okay, fine, I'm gonna like this is gonna be my party money, and so they're gonna throw $1 million in, and then it's gonna withdraw a claim. Uh, you can so that's my point. Like people can use it in different strategies, but I think for the average person, uh, a reasonable deposit, whatever's reasonable to you, and then just do the 200 compound is a strategy. It's a very good strategy.
Okay.
And then if you have like a payday, if you have a payday, say you get a bonus or something, you could throw like 25% in bonus in or something.
Gotcha. Okay, no, very good. So that makes a lot of sense. What's going on? I don't know if you saw BT as you were going. I threw in $1,000, and I'm gonna just experiment. That's how I learn best about protocols. Is I put some money in. I have a hard time researching or learning when I don't have anything in it. So I just put in $1,000, and I'm gonna keep my eye on it and make sure I understand all the nuances and all that. So that'll be great.
I think you're gonna
So
love this one. I think you're gonna
yeah,
love this one. Like just like the comment on that because I know how
yeah,
you
yeah.
track
Please.
the way you track your investments, which I really enjoy. Um, and the fact that there's no token value, you're going to get just what you expect to get, and I think it's going to put a smile on your face.
Yeah, it'll make my life a lot easier. It'll make the spreadsheet a bit easier to put together. So love
Right.
that. So let's talk a little bit about Elephant. And so I've been an Elephant for a long, 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 long time. And it pretty much did exactly what it was supposed to do until the exploit. And then it's pretty much done exactly what it's supposed to do since the exploit. So do
hmm
you just want to talk about Elephant, how it's supposed to work, and kind of what you see as the future for Elephant? How healthy do you feel that it is? How does the treasury play into that? And just talk a little bit about Elephant.
Right. So fun fact: Elephant outperformed 100% of the top 100 digital assets that we track in crypto. So it beat Bitcoin, it beat Ethereum, all that other stuff. And even with the exploit, if you just put your thumb, like depending on what screen you're on, if you just put your thumb over the exploit, it's just going up, right? It's just like this graceful hill going up. Which is insane because there were some times where we just didn't have any income. I think more than anything, it was just a stable coin. It just and that's a tremendous nod to the community as well. The community's been around, longer than the project, and we know what that's a testament to the fact that we're all on the same page, and we're all behind the vision of cash flow for all. We saw it working, I mean, we know it would come back again. And I think a lot of people actually took advantage of the time to get good positions because it's gonna start. It's gonna take off. It's gonna take off fast. I think when we get better participation numbers in futures as it just continues to perform, and there's a lot of people coming in. Oh, we did an AMA with Ladies Christian Fellowship last week. I think you would like that too. And there's probably some people in the community that probably would love to meet you just as an aside. So a lot of good people, so there's a lot of things that people want to do with the Elephant token and the other products to help other people and to help various causes. But anyway, back to Elephant. So we've basically been in this range of 10 cents per million, and basically just been just a lot of turnover in accumulation. But now that the front office is open, it's responding well, and now I suspect that it's going to probably take around 60 to 90 days for us to really start taking off in the shoot again. But like, if you compare where we are right now in terms of price to where we were, like say in that April timeframe, we're already in the parabolic phase. It's just that we have a lot more liquidity, or not even that we have a lot of liquidity, but that we have two LPs and we're constantly like load balancing for the best price. So, and now we have a bot that's running. So we have a Bertha bot that runs that does market making and is constantly applying buy pressure. So no one has to manually press the button anymore. That's running on Open Zeppelin Defender infrastructure. So, and I just released the bot gas station last night. So now we have this bot that's running and doing buybacks all the time, constant buy pressure, and traders are seeing that, and other market participants are seeing that. I think what's going to happen is this. I don't know exactly what the line in the sand is right now, but once we get into the top 100, we're going to start flying again. And you've already seen that let's see. I guess it's around 8 trillion now, but like 8 trillion went into the treasury, but even more went out into the open market. So people are buying up the token just from seeing the price action. And once we get into the top 100, this is what happens when we get into the top 100 and the top 50. So we were there before during that parabolic spike. So we'll definitely get there. But once we get there, guess what? There's crypto hedge funds all over the world that have a basic like approach and thesis to the market. They have to basically own 30%, rotating 30% of the top 100. So they have a mandate to invest in us. So all you have to do is just get back there, and then after that, it's bonkers. And so I think that we could probably just definitely be able to hit the all-time highs, and then just and with everything working, there's no I don't know what stops us, but I'm very excited for the community. I think what's ultimately going to happen is this is going to be very good for BSC, and it's really going to enrich the protocols that are working on BSC. So it's going to cause a wealth effect, and it's just going to be it's going to bring a lot more money to our neck of the woods.
Okay, very good. And the play for Elephant is just buy and hold, right? Right? You don't do anything else, just buy, appreciate, you can sell when you'd like, and that's all you have to do for Elephant, correct?
Right, buy and hold, put that on your ledger. Yeah. Put it in cold storage and just we're not doing any airdrops. There's no emergency reset, none of that. Like, don't fall for the scams. Don't fall for the scams. Put it on your ledger send it to your ledger, and just don't look at it. That's
So
the best way to handle.
I shouldn't send it to the BT that keeps DMing me on Telegram saying you want to give me extra elephant or anything like that.
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
don't do that. Um, one more question: how should someone think about if they have some money? Should I put it in elephant? Should I put it into the futures? How should someone process? We have limited capital, so how should someone process what to do in that situation?
Great question. Basically, not financial advice. Do your own research. I am not a financial advisor. Blah blah blah. But the millionaire maker, in my opinion, is have 100 billion elephant. That's $10,000. If you have 10, 10 billion, that's $1,000. So I think 10 billion to 100 billion is a good starting place. Figure out, $1,000 to $10,000. Figure that out based on your own thing. But that's going to get you front row seats to what the life's going to look like for elephant holders like a couple years from now. Like front row seats to imagine. Okay, so basically, if you go to the elephant page, we have this thing called the supply adjusted price. So if you scroll down just a little bit more, right here, right there. So see that $5.33. If Elephant had the same supply as Bitcoin, 21 million, you're literally staring at $5 Bitcoin right now. So if you load up, yeah, here's the thing you have to understand. And this gets back to network theory, basic network theory, and Metcalfe's law. We have the working network now. You have access to the working network now, and it's a function of liquidity. So we're not in the bull run right now. Things could get a lot worse. Elephant's pretty much immune to that because it's one of the only place it basically coordinates economic energy, and it kind of can exist on its own as its own functioning business. The only thing it's really exposed to is BNB, and in the short term, we actually like it when BNB goes down in price because that allows us to get Elephant out of the LPs on the cheap, right? It allows us to maximize our cost of capital. So yeah, there's really there's this bear market is great for us because it basically starves out all the bad plays, and anything that even is good that comes in, it's hard for them to compete against the liquidity that we've built up over years, literally years. So this is what's trapped in Elephant. I mean, our balance sheet is those LPs. So we have one of the most honest balance sheets of any bank, and that's only going to accrue in value. So. But yeah, I think you want to get that 10 billion to 100 billion, and then after that, futures is kind of discretionary depending on your needs. Really.
Okay. And then, so two last things I want to talk about. And if there's anything else you want to talk about, that's great. I'd like to talk about the farms and then trunk peg, because I have a lot of trunks. So again, just want to talk about that. But let's talk about the farms. How did the farms, I know those were launched not too long ago. Do you want to kind of talk through how those have been working, how those have been helping the ecosystem? Are those still something that you're trying to push, and just talk through the farms a bit?
The farms are great. There's a little bit of work that we have to do on the analytics side for the farms. There's a lot of work we have to do with DeFi Llama in general. But the farms are great for, if you think about us as a bank, these are our diversified assets, our diversified blue chip assets. This is a great way to save super long term especially if you believe in the market. You could just hold Elephant, but why not be exposed to Bitcoin or Ethereum? Really, the farms allow Elephant.Money to be a one-stop shop. If when we did the LCF AMA, you know, a lot of these were mothers that work from home, small children around and stuff like that. They don't have time to be researching the markets and stuff like that. And they don't, they can't be exposed to a lot of speculation either. It's tough times. Families don't want to be overexposed to risk. So, by supporting, the top digital assets in the world, you get decent exposure, but you're not overexposed. You don't need to be. Like, you already have Elephant, so you just, but like, yeah, have some Bitcoin. So these things are performing pretty well. Like 20%. When we get back to peg, that'll be 125%, 125% APR on all of these assets. So that's going to be a great. It's going to be great. They're received zero complaints about the farms. Like, people love the farms. I think it's one of the best places you can earn yield on Bitcoin, for example.
Okay. Can I ask a couple questions just to make sure I understand how everything works? Okay. So first off, there's chance of impermanent loss, correct? Because you're putting in the liquidity pool token. So if I'm putting like Ethereum and Trunk and the price of Ethereum skyrockets, there'll be impermanent loss on that, correct? Just to make sure I'm understanding correct.
No, not here. No, so that's the innovation. These are
okay.
Using
That's why I asked. Good thing I asked.
Yeah. So these are using something, basically saver pools that I came up with over on Tron. So basically, at the time of deposit, you have to provide equal amounts, but after that, it's just basically you're like putting it into two single-sided liquidity pools. Like, they're not actually used for liquidity at all. We're just holding it for TVL. So what the farms provide for the system is a use case for Trunk. It just literally is you're basically getting yield in exchange for, like, okay, we got all the circulating supply of Trunk. What are we going to use for it? Like, so.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that makes perfect sense, because I was like, why would I take 20.6% on this when I can get it on the stable coin? So now that makes perfect sense. It's just you're putting in equal parts, but then if Ethereum goes way up, you get all those gains in addition to the 20% in Trunk. That the right way to look at it?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And then I guess that leads us to, we've had a lot of people asking about this, so we probably better get to it. Can we talk about the status of the Trunk peg? Because again, that's where I have a lot of my Elephant exposure. I have 15K or so, 18K Trunk. Yep. Do you want to talk about peg and kind of what the plan is to get it up, when you kind of anticipate, again, not holding you to it. We understand this is all work in progress, but you just want to talk about that a bit?
Right. So peg is simple. And if you look at the Trunk chart, you've seen times when, like, the community gets like overzealous and like, oh yeah, we could just buy this all back up. There's literally only a $4 million gap between what we need, the BSD that we need in the LP for it to come back to peg. So that's really not a lot of money. Like, we've already raised like half of that, since futures has been launched in just a week, right? So the idea is that Bertha has to, get a couple orders of magnitude larger than the circulating supply of Trunk, and then she can just write a check to, pay off that $4 million in the gap to fix the liquidity pool, write another check to pay out everybody in the redemption queue. The redemption queue, I think, is only like less than 2 million. So it's not a lot of money to write that ship. Basically, we have to let the magic happen with futures and with the Elephant token price, which is what we're doing right now. So the focus is on futures and Elephant. But then, probably sometime in Q2, we'll be there where we can really, and that'll either happen organically or it can just happen in one shot.
Okay. And then are you going to I noticed, like the APRs on this, how are these calculated? And do you see these like perpetual bonds and things being a big part of Elephant going forward? Or are you trying to get people to move away from this and into the futures and just buying Elephant? Or how do you kind of look at the ecosystem there?
So Trunk obviously still has the use case for the farms, right? And Trunk does like this system actually. It's not pegged, but if people came in fresh, like you paid $1, I paid $1, right? But for a lot of people could have bought it at 20 cents or whatever it is now, right? And they're earning great yield in that price range, right? So the system's 100% working, right, for them, because they're basically in this discounted range. But the way that the system is designed to do 205%, but that's when I upgrade it to the futures model, it'll just be a straight 0.5% daily. It'll work very much like futures, but we still have all the infrastructure for the redemption queue. We still have the Trunk BUSD LP. So we have a lot of ways to redeem the yield without even affecting the treasury. Just the demand, people coming in and out, and then we also have the raffle. So we have the raffle, and we also have referral rewards on deposit, which is something you don't have with futures. So there's a little slight nuances, mainly the raffle, the fact that you have rewards on deposit as well for Trunk, and that also the Trunk has its own sort of dynamic ecosystem for handling a shock to the system, and it actually can scale down. Like, so there's no such case for futures. Futures, the treasury just has to pay out. That's the way it is. It's like the treasury is not going to go to zero, but the treasury is definitely going to pay out. But the thing is that all of these systems running, they're creating buy pressure to Elephant, and traders and hodlers see that, and so the net effect is that what's going on is these buyers that are just long-term buyers, they want to store wealth, they're subsidizing the daily remittance of the system on the yield side.
Okay. Nope, that makes sense. And someone asked about how is Bertha going to fix peg? And basically what you're just saying is when Bertha gets big enough, you can just put some of that money towards the peg and that will fix it. I mean, the peg is not enough money in there basically. So when Bertha gets big enough, the goal is grow Bertha, which is just the treasury, grow it large enough so that it can fix peg. Is that kind of the strategy?
That's it. Yep.
Okay. Very good. All right. So we've got a few questions from the audience. Is there anything else that you really wanted to talk about before I kind of turn it over to the audience to let them direct conversation, or do you feel like we got through most of it?
I think we got through most of it. Again, we'll get to that point. But yeah, I think let's take some questions.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, if you guys have questions now, ask them now. I have a few to bring up from earlier. But first off, what's on in the future? Any other parts to the Elephant ecosystem yet to come out? Like, what's going on in your brain right now?
A lot of this is there's some plans. The fact that you see my face right now, even though I probably need to shave, but no, that's part of the plan as well. So the main thing is just to get the word out now. This is a feature complete system. Along those lines, a lot more PR, a lot more outward facing marketing, things like that. But also a new website. So there will be a user experience and UI refresh on the website. There's going to be more business continuity plans put in place. So you see the bots that are running now. You see like Bertha bot that's running in partnership with Open Zeppelin. There's going to be work with Consensus to do some potential foundation building. Basically, a lot of the work is going to be on the back end side to plan for longevity, uh, to ensure that the train can run in my absence, like so I can take a much needed vacation, stuff like that.
Yes.
Um, and the system does run in my absence, and like I used to like I was so happy when I deployed Bertha bot because this thing, it's not even running on Amazon or Google. We use those services. It's not even running there. It's running on Open Zeppelin, which already has a foundation, already has business continuity planning. These services, Open Zeppelin, Defender, supports some of the largest protocols in the world. You know, you put your JavaScript bot in there, it's going to run forever. It just puts a smile on my face. I just geek out over that type of stuff. But yeah, next question.
Okay. Yeah, and we have a few people commenting about drip in the comments. Maybe I shouldn't say anything. I get a little fiery sometimes. But one thing I appreciate about what you're doing, I'll just say this. I won't say anything negative about drip. I
Yeah.
appreciate what you have been doing, BT, because as you know, think like the exploit, for example, was bad, obviously, and trunk peg, that's been a challenge. But I just keep seeing you keep working and keep adjusting and keep trying to move forward. And hey, let's do this, and a plan going forward. And meanwhile, Elephant has been doing what you've been planning the whole time. So again, for people who are asking, how would I compare this to drip? That's all I would say. I'll try to. I should probably shut up there. Aside from BT, is there a strong team behind Elephant.Money?
Yes, obviously. Uh, Come to the Telegram. The water's fine. We have a large volunteer team. So it's and what the team has done in recent months has been just nothing short of amazing. We already have we worked with we started working with the uh, Ladies Christian Fellowship, and they're already like you know ramping up marketing and PR and stuff like that. And you know, we pay out bounties here and there, uh, but it's a largely volunteer organization. So there's no centralized organization. Now there's some things just from a security OPSEC perspective, for that need to be handled, but um, we're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Let's see. Is Bertha growing faster than Peg? And maybe means is Bertha growing faster than Peg is going down? I'm not sure, but maybe you can decipher that and answer as best you can.
Yes, because Bertha's growing very fast. Like, I guess the easiest way to explain it is Bertha growing in U.S. dollar value faster than U.S. dollar value is coming out of the trunk LP? And the answer is definitely yes. Like the trunk LP is pretty stable, but basically the lower trunk gets in price, like the harder it is to scoop. Obviously harder it is to scoop BUSD out. So um, yeah, we'll be fine. Like it's like only 4 million. It's only a $4 million deficit. I'm basically looking at when we get to like 250 million in dollar value in the treasury, and then we'll address trunk.
Okay. Nope. Totally get that. And actually, that's kind of what Gregory is saying. He said, "Would you liken Trunk's repeg to tipping over ever larger dominoes? Don't try to bypass the process by pushing over the largest domino directly. Focus on futures and Elephant, because you could just put all your money, the whole treasury, into Trunk peg right now, but then it would just be gone, and then there would be no future for it. So your plan is, hey, let's get this to a sustainable place, then we'll work on peg. Is that kind of, am I
That, that's
reading that correctly?
that's exactly it.
Okay, very good. Let's see. MG says Elephant has outperformed all top 100 tokens in 2022. What else to say? So that's not a question, but yeah, no, I appreciate that. James, will you consider this for your top 10, your top 20, your top 30? My take. So I'm a bit of a simpleton. Okay, I put on this guise that I'm smart and know what I'm talking about. I need to really like think through the tokenomics and how all this works. But I will say Elephant The first time I talked to BT, he told me, hey, Elephant is going to do this. And then I watched it and it did exactly what he said. And the exploit's been the one thing, the one kind of hiccup. And then everything else has worked exactly as BT has told me it would. And so that I take note of that when people tell me something and it happens that way. I take note and say, hey, he didn't lie to me. I've been told from a lot of projects this is what's going to happen. And then you look forward a year later and that is not what's happened at all. And so then I know, okay, I don't trust that. But BT, what you told me, I think it's been close to a year ago almost when we first spoke, and what you've said will happen will happen. So that I do appreciate that. And I take note of that.
Yeah, no problem. It's math. It's engineering. It's like, it's like it's a Tesla,
Yep. Can't argue with math. And then Iquint says elephant liabilities are linear. Elephant growth is parabolic. That's the key to most of these questions. I think that's a helpful comment. Helpful way to look at it is liabilities is going this way. Elephant is going this way. Or Bertha too is going this way. So eventually, you should keep seeing it do good things is kind of the thoughts. So
that's going to be kind of scary though, right? Like literally like a 90-degree, that's going to be a thing. Like we did that. That's crazy.
Yeah. No, that'll be cool. Glad to be a part of it. Let's see. Okay. So I think he's talking about the futures, but what is the most the futures can earn me over 1 year if I put in regular payments of 200? And maybe I think there was a calculator on Crypto Stew's article where you can kind of mess around with the numbers of if I do this or I do that. There's a bunch of articles out there. I'd say hop in the Telegram for sure. And I know there's people discussing this and there's calculators and the community loves to geek out on the math around all this. So that's what I would recommend. Hop in the Telegram, find a calculator, and just start messing with the numbers for how you want it to work.
What he said.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. I'll save you. You need a vacation, so I'll help you out a little bit. Michael says, any info on the new update transfer for Stampede? And can you remind us what Stampede is also?
So Stampede is the trunk sort of drip thingy.
No, okay. But trunk drip thingy. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but I've actually completed the first pass of the smart contract on that. So and so it's already been futurified. So I have UI work to do, and I also want to relay the changes to the community for feedback. And that's where we are on that. So it probably would have done that already. But then I've been diving down the bot rabbit hole of late. So we have some bot projects that are actually being worked on behind the scenes. So we have a trunk market maker. And we also have, we finished the Bertha bot one, but there might be another arbitrage bot that we release. And then we also will be potentially running MEV bots. So sandwich bots and things like that. But like for the impact to the overall ecosystem versus the profit that we would get, as we start to go up the parabolic curve, it's like, you have to ask yourself, these MEV bots are profitable, but is that the best thing for blockchain participants? I would argue it's not, right?
Yeah.
So,
nope,
I don't know if that's a business you want to be in.
Gotcha. Let's see. I went in deep into EM, Elephant.Money, after I saw BT's response to last March's flash loan attack. And that was a good time to get in, was right after the exploit. So congrats on that. But went on to build the most robust system in DeFi, forged in fire. So yeah, how teams respond to adversity is definitely, we've seen a lot of teams where I've seen 100 times, exploit, project shuts down, exploit, project shuts down. So yeah, that's definitely something to take consideration. Let's see. Have BT explain If you deposit $1 million in futures, do you earn $5,000 per day until you earn 2.5 million? And that's only if you don't claim out correctly, because every time you claim, that is going to go down. Is that the
Yeah,
right way to think about it?
right. Every time you claim, it's going to go down, and then you want to top. You can keep claiming, but you're going to get less and less every day, right? It's uh, so every I think every 30, what is it? Every 30 days, your principal goes down by 50%, 15%. So that's the way you want to think about it. So you could probably claim. You could literally just claim, and then let the interest accrue back up, or you know, and by depositing. So you can top, if you're at $1 million, you can top it up pretty fast, right? So by just adding $200, right? So
Gotcha.
because you're earning that interest, yeah. So
Gotcha.
it kind of goes down, up, down, up, down, up. Like down, 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 up, 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 up.
Yeah.
Play with it.
And again, for anybody who's kind of has questions about how the numbers are going to work, I recommend reading that article. I'll post a link to it again and mess around with the calculators, because it's going to be, there's a lot, it's very nuanced based on what you're doing. So if you want to know exactly how much am I going to have if I do this, this, and this, there's calculators to kind of help you figure that out. And we'll take just a couple last questions here, and then we'll let you go. Is your deposit in the futures locked? And the answer is yes, correct?
Right, it's bonded. Yep.
It's bonded. Okay. We'll end with this one. This is a good one to end with. Gabriel, thanks. BT, in your opinion, what's the end goal of the Elephant Money ecosystem? Would you say it's to help families get out of the rat race, disrupt the banking system, or what's kind of your end goal?
At the end of the day, all these systems are in DeFi or TradFi are just options for for the people, and we just want to be a viable option to solve fundamental problems. So in terms of access to yield, high yield, access to growth in a very simplified way, in a very robust, permissionless way. I think the Elephant does solve that problem. So I look forward to getting this in front of as many families as possible, because we do happen to know that a lot of monetary systems are failing the people, and so hopefully we can come in and fill the gap. For example, I'll sort of end with this. We've seen the impact of OpenAI's Chat GPT. The fastest adoption of technology in history, right? What competes with that? Because that will take away jobs, right? That's taking away not just any jobs, the most profitable, it's taking away the white collar jobs. So there has to be an answer to that. Now, OpenAI has a universal basic income project that they say they're making progress on. I don't think it's better than Elephant.
But at least they're trying, right? Maybe you and OpenAI can work something out together. That'd be awesome. So,
Yep.
well, hey, I want to thank the audience. I want to thank the Elephant Money community. I appreciate you guys coming by again. The only reason that I can do what I do is because you guys come to watch me. And sometimes I don't know why. I'm in a random hotel room in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but just appreciate you guys coming. Appreciate your support. Please hit like on the way out. And this was live, so if you're watching the recording, you can no longer ask questions. I'm sorry, but you can always hop in the Elephant Telegram and ask questions there. The community is very friendly, which is something I really appreciate about the Elephant community. Very friendly, very open to questions, very open to criticism, so keep that up. And BT, thank you for hopping on. Thank you for being patient with us as you explain the ecosystem, explain how things work. And I look forward to see how this continues to progress.
Yeah. Thank you, James, and thank you for what you do as well. You're you're very transparent, and like you're with the people in terms of just trying to find the best options out there, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. And it's been tough. It's been tough to find things that you don't, lose your money. And so again, I am hoping that Elephant Money is one of those safe havens for people. And like Elephant, like you said, has been for the last, 8 months or so. That's been a safe haven for people's money. So appreciate that. And yeah, we'll look forward to keep working with you. And yeah, as always, reach out if there's anything I can do to help you or help the community.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Hope you all have a great rest of the day. If anybody's in Minneapolis, shoot me a DM and maybe we can, I don't know, maybe we can't do anything. I might be busy, but at least shoot me a DM and I'll say, hey, we're in the same city. But yeah, appreciate all you guys and hope you all have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much.